Yeah, once you get underwater, it's a whole nother world. We have sea turtles here, and we even have some few sharks that you might be lucky enough to see.
Lucky enough to see sharks.
Just off the very busy coast of Southern California is a quiet landmass that's 22 miles wide and one of the last frontiers left in coastal California. It's beautifully tranquil, and generally the terrain is unspoiled.
This is Catalina! Catalina is like our hidden gem if you're Southern California. The majority of the island of Catalina, with the exception of Avalon, is completely undeveloped. We're a few short minutes from Avalon. Once we dock, once we unload, I have absolutely no idea what's in store for me.
It only takes an hour on the waters of the Pacific before you find yourself pulling into the island's only incorporated city, Avalon. And with one leap onto the dock, you're transported to another place far away from the City of Angels.
If I didn't know better, I wouldn't even think I was still in Southern California. I mean, this feels like we're in Europe.
Right, if you just look at the hillside and the architecture, could easily be south of France, Italy, anywhere.
The town of Avalon, it's steeped in history.
History is absolutely one of the foremost important things for all of us here on the island, and preserving that legacy for future generations has always been the vision and the kind of direction of the Catalina Island Company and the Wrigley family.
The Wrigley family is largely responsible for developing the island as we know it today. Jeff Rusak, a family member of the Wrigley descendants, is widely regarded as one of the best authorities in the history of the island and the family's involvement.
William Wrigley Jr., one of his incredible skills was marketing. Ultimately, having made a great deal of success with the chewing gum company and the Chicago Cubs, Catalina just kind of started spilling into his lap. And then the entire family came over to Santa Catalina Island and stayed at the hotel. And as legend sort of has it, Mrs. Wrigley woke up and looked out and said, "This is an island that should never leave our hands." Ultimately, he did acquire all the stock in the Santa Catalina Island Company. He said, "I want to make this a world-class attraction, attract more people and give them something else to see."
Oh, Harbor Patrol.
The Catalina Island Company has essentially controlled a lot of real estate. In later years, developed all things hospitality, so hotels, restaurants, the iconic casino building. This was built in 1929 by William Wrigley Jr. I think one of the most incredible things about this building is the Avalon Theater. The acoustics in this building are incredible. I'm going to stamp my foot, and you can hear that acoustic reverberation around the building.
This acts as a microphone.
Absolutely, you can stand on stage and there's, the projection just travels all the way to the back of the audience.
I feel underdressed being in here.
This would be the largest circular wooden ballroom in the US, and back in its heyday, it would house almost 3,000 people dancing the night away.
3,000 people.
Absolutely, yeah, and they would turn these fans on and it would take out all of the heat.
They did not spare any details here. I mean, it seems like there was a lot of thought put into architecture here. Even the walkway going around the building.
And a lot of the architectural takeaways from this building have kind of married over into Wrigley Field, such as the ramps and, and the balcony and so on.
Yep.
There's no shortage of history on the island, and the same can be said for year-round fun in the sun. So if you're wanting to find Avalon's epicenter for playtime, look no further than Descanso Beach Club.
I mean, honestly, you get here and all your worries just drift away. How are the drinks here? Does Descanso Beach Club have a signature drink?
Absolutely, we do. And here it is, the buffalo milk.
So what's in this?
This is the original buffalo milk. So this one is actually ice cream based.
Oh God.
You got a shot of vodka in there, creme de cacao, creme de banane, and then a coffee liqueur.
Oh my God,
And
come
then
on.
Top it with whipped cream.
Come on.
Little bit of grated nutmeg, and that's it.
It's a very guilt-free cocktail as well.
Yeah, totally, yeah. It's carb-free, everything.
Where does buffalo milk get its name from?
The island itself is home to 150 American buffalo or bison. They just roam free and you can go out into the interior and look for them.
And while I've yet to see a bison, the marine life surrounding the waters of Catalina is abundant.
There's some right there. There's some right there. As we speak, there's 2 dolphins.
There's some more right up here on our port bow. Traveling about a pod of 12. They're real social, they love the attention. They can feel the vibrations from our engines in the back here.
Look at them. Wow, that is so cool. Now, what I find incredible about Descanso Beach Club is you walk just a few hundred yards and you're off in nature.
Absolutely. One of the best ways to connect with nature, just a few steps away from Descanso Beach Club, is our zipline eco tour, and it's all the adrenaline that you need.
This is the most excitement I've had in the last 3.5 months. You're out here in nature. This island is absolutely beautiful. I think this is what the doctor ordered, a little adrenaline, man. Get the heart pumping. The island of Catalina is massive. What else can I find on the interior of the island?
This is just the beginning of your adventure. There's so much more left to explore.
An adventure indeed. Next, we're traveling to the interior of Catalina to further explore this mysterious island. Many have heard of Catalina, some have been to Avalon, few have ventured beyond.
We call this Hog's Back Gate, and we are crossing over from Avalon into the interior.
This is like entering Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Our journey outside the city begins with a trek to the center of the island. Getting around the interior is no easy feat, but to biologist Hillary Holt, this unspoiled terrain is her backyard.
There is a difference between the governing bodies, the city of Avalon, where we just were, and now the interior, correct?
Right, and really the bulk of the land ownership on the island is private, and the Catalina Island Conservancy owns and manages 88% of the island, which is what the interior is, a land trust.
Now, what is this other harbor with the...
Well, this is actually the home of the OSS, which was the precursor to the CIA.
So is that why that helicopter's been over us this entire time?
And after a 30-minute drive through the landscape's rolling hills, we've arrived to one of the island's main tent poles which supports the community's infrastructure, aptly called the airport in the sky.
Take a look around you. You've got amazing, almost 360-degree views of the beautiful Southern California skyline and coastline. And on a clear day, you'll be able to see everything from Point Dume south to San Diego.
I can see the San Gabriel Mountains just peeking through there.
Yep, that's Mount Baldy.
Mount Baldy.
It is trickier than most airports to land at. You have the illusions of being up high on a mesa with no visual references on the approach, and then you also have a sloped runway.
You think they'll let me hang on to that rope?
When they were looking around this whole island, as you can see, there's nothing flat on Catalina. So they literally leveled mountains and filled valleys to make this runway.
So you guys still offer 2-day prime here?
Definitely. The Catalina Flying Boats company no longer do passenger service. They're an all-cargo operation, which helps bring much-needed supplies to the island. All those next-day delivery, all those packages can get here because we have this airport and this great service.
I'm amazed at the amount of activity that's at this airport right now.
Yeah, so for a little airport on an island, there's a lot happening here today.
Beats the hell out of Southern California traffic.
It is a very famous pilot lunch spot because we're in a beautiful preserve of undeveloped wildlands.
I don't know what's better, the food or the view.
The view from the airport is spectacular, but sometimes you must take to the sky to grasp the full picture of this majestic island and some of its most famous inhabitants.
So there's buffalo just roaming around here.
There are about 100 American bison or buffalo roaming around Catalina.
Oh, did I say buffalo?
You did, but we know what you're talking about.
So what's the difference between a bison and a buffalo?
Buffalo are from Asia, whereas bison can only be found in North America. The American bison that live here on Catalina have been here since the mid-20s. The herd got up to around 600 in the 70s, and now we have around about 100. Actually, we're getting a look. Here they are right here.
Right there.
Yeah.
Check that out. Now, the bison are not native to Catalina.
They are not, no.
I keep hearing all this talk about these bison being brought here for a movie.
Supposedly, it's The Vanishing American. That was a book written by Zane Grey. They were making into a movie, but that footage never made it into the movie.
This trip to Catalina, I mean, there's a surprise around every corner. It's very rare that you get to be this close to a herd of wild bison anywhere, let alone a few nautical miles off of the coast of California.
The Conservancy's real mission is to keep the ecosystem out here healthy at the same time that we keep our arms open to visitors. Striking that balance is very important to us.
I mean, when you look around, if I didn't know better, I'd think I was in like the plains of Wyoming.
It is something you don't see a lot, and why people that love Catalina come back.
Do you spend the majority of your time, I mean, just roaming the island?
Our research and our biologists and conservation team, that is set out in Middle Ranch.
Is that somewhere that is accessible to visitors?
Not at all. It is a pretty special glimpse to get to see into the heart of the operations. Kind of off the beaten path, and that's where we're going to head now.
As blood flows through the human body pumped by our heart, the same holds true for Catalina's Middle Ranch area. This is the site of the island's main freshwater source, the Thompson Reservoir, which pumps water around the island to sustain life. It's also home to Middle Ranch itself, where the biology of everything Catalina is studied. Here is where the fragile ecosystem of this enormous landmass is brought into balance.
So we're in the interior of the island. Besides Middle Ranch and the Conservancy, what else is around here?
A whole lot of native, undeveloped habitat until you get to the coastline. If you're out of town, you're able to get to some locations that are pretty interesting and unique. So of course we have our remote beaches, such as Little Harbor, that you can take the Conservancy shuttle to, and you're going to see a bunch of palm trees, a bunch of date palms, and you might think, is this Tahiti? Well, it is supposed to look like Tahiti. That's actually where Mutiny on the Bounty with Clark Gable was filmed in 1939, as well as Treasure Island. Little Harbor is an original movie set.
What's the primary role of the Conservation Department?
The goal is to steward the lands. We're trying to restore and manage the wildlife in balance with the human population.
Full-time gig?
Full-time gig.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. The history of Middle Ranch starts with the Banning brothers in the 1890s when they constructed this road that is running behind me. They ran a stagecoach through here, and this was the site of original food production on the island. They planted an orchard, and this really became more of a true ranch.
Hillary, you brought me to a pot farm.
It is. It's a bunch of pots. We are in the James H. Ackerman Native Plant Nursery.
Now, why is it important to maintain native plants on the island of Catalina?
Because everything is attached. Everything evolved together, and so you take one thing out of an ecosystem, and especially on an island, things can collapse like dominoes, and you don't even know how important something is until it's not there. Just by protecting it, the island is not only regenerating with a little help from its friends, but we are seeing species that haven't been seen in 10, 15, 20 years.
And you can't visit a ranch without saddling up your trusty steed and hitting the dusty trail. And I found just the guy to take me, Wendy Hart, Vice President of Catalina's Saddle Club.
How long have you been riding for?
I've been riding all my life, but I've been riding the island for 38 years.
What is it about Catalina that's so special?
There's nothing that can beat riding up on top of a ridge and looking down. You see the ocean down below. You can see bison grazing. A little fox maybe runs across in front of you on the trail. It's heaven.
So this is the Thompson Reservoir that I've been hearing so much about.
Yes, this is the drinking water for Avalon. If you don't have water over here, you don't have the horses, you don't have the bison, you don't have the plants, you don't have anything.
The view that I have from here, this landscape has probably not changed for generations. There are very few places that are left untouched, especially a desert island off the coast of Southern California. And I think that's really special.
But Middle Ranch has not always been the only center of equestrian activities to the island. El Rancho Escondido, the Wrigley's private ranch, once housed an Arabian horse program featuring a show for visitors of all ages. This is a tradition Jeff Rusak and the Wrigley descendants are working hard to revitalize.
Visitors would come in from Avalon, they'd get on a bus and come see the interior, and this would be one of the great stopping areas for them, and they'd have an Arabian horse demonstration put on for them. We're hoping to bring that history back.
Currently, the ranch is home to the island's only vineyard.
We try and keep Catalina Island in tune with the times, and winemaking and grape growing have taken off in California. It's become a mainstay. So we thought, what would be a nice addition to the Arabian horse program that would basically give people an opportunity to actually taste the fruits of Santa Catalina Island?
And what is it about this location that makes this the ideal terroir?
It's a cool climate here. We get a very steady sunrise and sunset over the vines, and with this ocean completely surrounding it, we just have an absolutely world-class growing environment. So we're hoping to just bring this place back as a wonderful stopping point for those that tour Catalina Island and have them enjoy, hear the history, and experience the wonderful interior of Catalina Island.
So I've experienced the wildlife in Avalon, and I've got to see how majestic the wildlife in the interior is. What's going on the other end of the island?
Well, if you keep heading that way, you're gonna run into two harbors out on the isthmus, and it's a real slice at a time, an unincorporated village.
Perfect.
On the west end of Catalina, you'll find an outpost of civilization that many natives to the mainland have never even heard of. This town has a natural connection to the ocean and is located on a natural isthmus where it got the name Two Harbors. Two Harbors is an isolated community where you will find a general store, the Banning House Inn, a restaurant, and a campsite. You'll also notice the abandoned one-room schoolhouse, which up until 2014 was the only local education facility for the 150 permanent residents. The village is unincorporated, and the island company's Andrew Allen is tasked with managing operations.
Two Harbors originally got its name through having two harbors. We have Isthmus Cove, which is behind me, and if you walk down the road, you'll easily see Cat Harbor. I think everyone wants to come here for that iconic island getaway. You get here, you're able to explore the beautiful water, go relax on the beach and just listen to the ocean while you read a book. One of the big draws here is the ocean life that we have and how easy it is to just get in the water and rent a kayak from our dive shop and head out and explore. I feel like Two Harbors is a hidden gem. Every time someone discovers it, they have the same reaction. It's like, I had no idea this was here.
Exploring the village doesn't take long, but the ocean beyond is a whole nother matter. Using ocean kayaks, we're paddling 20 minutes away to a location near a site called Blue Cavern. Here, the aquatic ecosystem surrounding this expansive landmass has some of the best diving spots Southern California has to offer.
I mean, this place feels abandoned. You can literally come here and pretty much not run into anybody, right?
You know, that's part of the magic of Catalina. You can come here and just be isolated.
I'm just a poor, wayfaring stranger, traveling through this world of woe.
Because Catalina is so protected and far away from mainland, you have a unique marine environment that doesn't have as much pollution. Our waters are crystal clear. It's just a beautiful spot to come.
How does the marine ecosystem here on Catalina differ from the marine ecosystem off the coast of California?
We have the MPA, the Marine Protected Area, that helps us have an abundance of life and clear water.
Jacques Cousteau, one of the most famous scuba divers, actually said that this is one of the most beautiful places to scuba dive, and it's just a few miles off the coast of Southern California.
One of the biggest things people come here to dive for is our kelp forest. You have long, beautiful kelp forests that you can swim through, and it really is a different world under there. Kelp forests absorb CO2, and they also produce oxygen level, which helps protect against erosion from the sea and the waves.
It's incredible, man. What are some of the dangers facing the underwater ecosystem here?
And one of the items is that if the water's warming up, that can kill the kelp, and the kelp really thrives in that cold water environment. And if the kelp starts disappearing, then invasive species start coming in, and eventually you're not going to have any sea life left, and you're not going to have a pristine marine environment to go diving in.
Said it need me when I come.
The island of Catalina really has everything you could ask for. It's like its own independent civilization. It is so close to mainland LA, and hardly anybody knows that this place exists. And with all the noise happening in that direction, I think the world could use a little bit more of this, man.
100%.
Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. For more, subscribe to First Look and come with me on all my adventures around the world. Who am I kidding? I'm probably sitting at home watching Netflix or playing Xbox. Either way, what are you waiting for? Just hit subscribe already.